Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce my 52 assistants. Notice the contrasts of style and character. They range from ingratiating simplicity to regal splendor. Some are passive and inert, others brazen and belligerent, some suicidal, just like you and me. But card artistry, just like other theatrical forms, music and dance, has its own styles, its own classics, its own genres. I'm going to start my show tonight by doing the same effect in 3 different ways. First, in the flashy American style, you'll all remember from the 1970s. Well, on my way to the luckiest night of my life. Now, the same effect as you might have seen it performed by a European. Ooh. An old Meters tune, Just Kissed My Baby, going back for number 2. Think about how much better this might look with a frilly shirt or a bow tie. Think about how much better I might look. Now the same effect as you might have seen it performed in a drawing room, very much like this one at the turn of the century. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall endeavor to illustrate and show how futile are the attempts of plebeians to enter that select circle of society known as the beau monde, and indeed to show how such entree is prevented by the polite yet frigid exclusiveness of its gentler members. Let us assume it is the occasion of a public reception. Our table the hall, our deck the common herd, and we would fittingly select the 4 queens as representing the feminine portion of the smart set. Now, as would naturally be the case, I shall besiege these high-strung patrician ladies with attentions from the lower orders, which these next 12 cards shall represent. I shall start by placing 1, 2, 3 commoners on Her Majesty the Queen of Hearts. The next 3 outsiders on the Queen of Diamonds. And though the mention or notice of all these suitors is equally abhorrent to the Grand Dames, I shall treat them alike by placing on the Queen of Spades 1, 2, 3 more rank outsiders. Finally, the last 3 who have been closest to the bottom, therefore least crowding and most deserving to proffer their homage on the Queen of Clubs. Ladies and gentlemen, as you have seen, I have brutally taken advantage of these tenderly nurtured and unsophisticated young creatures by placing them in positions which must be extremely galling to their aristocratic sensibilities. Can they endure? Can they endure?
Yes. Yes.
Indeed they can. Having some knowledge of the marvelous subtlety, resources, and finesse of the sex, I feel confident these women can, with tact and discretion, easily elude their persecutors and form a more congenial coterie amongst themselves. Watch first the Queen of Clubs. Watch her as she turns her back on the suitors and then goes to Windsor for the weekend. Next, the Queen of Spades, slightly more daring than the others, tantalizes the men, Gucci, Gucci, goo. Amidst their consternation, makes good her escape. The Queen of Diamonds knows the aphorism, it's easiest to disappear in a crowd. Now you see her, and alas, now you do not. Or, as I suggested only a moment ago, is it possible these women could seek out each other's company? The fatal vanity of the sex could prove me correct. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and that's 4. Booze and the blow-ins cop the lot. Anybody have any idea what I'm talking about? This is the refrain from a 15th century poem. A poem by Francois Villon. It says, no matter how you earn your money, you're unlikely to keep it, whether you hustle or swindle or con or cheat, because in the end, booze and the blow-ins, wine and women, take it all. Suppose you screeve or go cheap jack or fake the broads or fig a nag or thimble rig or nap a yak or pitch a snide or smash a rag. Suppose you duff or nose and lag or get your straight and land the pot. How do you melt the multi-swag? Booze and the blowins cop the lot. Suppose you try a different tack and on the square you flash your flag. At a penny lining make your whack or with the mummers mump and gag. For nix, the dibs you grab at any graft, no matter what. Your merry goblins soon stravag. Booze and the blowins cop the lot. It's up the spout and Charlie Wag with the wipes and tickers and whatnot until the squeezer grabs your scrag. Booze and the blowins cop the lot. This is William Henley's 19th century translation of Villon, rich in the canting language, the criminal slang of its day. It talks about debasers of coin, short change artists, dice mechanics, card hustlers. These people are my friends. I spent most of my formative years learning the techniques of deception. Now, many years later, I can tell you that I believe there are more differences between the cheater and the sleight of hand artist than there are similarities. Take, for example, an evening like this. If I perform badly, I might suffer the disapprobation of the audience or an empty house. If I perform equally poorly at the card table, I could suffer loss of limb or even life. Notwithstanding, I would like to demonstrate art, ruse, and subterfuge at the card table. To do this, I have to be sure there are a number amongst you who are familiar with the basic laws of poker, blackjack, gin rummy. Do we have any serious card players in the house? Well, thanks. It's been fun performing for you. You play some cards on a fairly serious level? Great. Can I induce you to help me for a moment? And I need somebody else as well, a card player. Someone to come up. No harm will come. Fine. If you can get out, you can get in. Would you have a chair? You can drop the joker and leave that at your seat. That would only be confusing. And this gentleman has found the outside aisle, which is also good. Please be my guest. Your first name is?
Jeff.
Jeff, Ricky. Appreciate your coming up. And you are?
Larry.
Larry, still Ricky.
Still Ricky.
So Jeff and Larry have been kind enough to join me for what will be a brief philosophical discussion on the nature of cheating. Jeff, Larry, let me pose a scenario to you gentlemen. If I said to you these cards were marked, they are not. But if I said they were marked, visualize that, and we played with these cards and I subsequently won a lot of money from you, would you be more inclined, Jeff, to call me a hustler, a cheater, or someone taking advantage? Which of those three terms?
Cheater.
Cheater. And Larry?
Cheater.
And I would say a cheater. I think we have no problem with agreement on this particular issue. Let's try another scenario. Let's say we're playing pool instead of cards. Let's say I was capable of running 30 or 40 balls every time I addressed the table. You gentlemen could run 3 or 4. We played games to 100 points. We played for a lot of money. Not only did I win, but I won 100 to 96, 100 to 99, 100 to 98. What term do you think would apply there?
Hustler.
No disagreement from me. You've all seen that movie with Paul Newman, haven't you? The Hustler. It's a classic. I mean, and why is that? Because it's a specific situation. It's a man who's staying in a game longer, playing less well than he can to keep his opponents there longer to win more money. Pool players call it playing under speed. Well, is that ever applicable at the card table? Well, perhaps. What if we were playing poker, and at the end of an evening, I owed each of you gentlemen $80, and we decided we'd cut high card, double or nothing, winner take all. And you cut a queen, and I cut an ace. And you cut a 9, and I cut an ace. And you cut a 10, and I cut an ace. Well, I have a sense this wouldn't last for very long, which is kind of the point. So what if we were in a situation where I was trying to subtly beat you rather than to beat you badly? In this case, Jeff, what I want you to do is reach into the deck anywhere at all. Just pick up a group of cards like that. Could be high, low, in the center, and we'll see what's on the bottom of your hand there. You mind turning it over? That's a king. Show that to the audience. Unfortunately, that doesn't allow much room for subtlety. It's possible to beat you, but the only way I could by cutting an ace, I can, but let's move on. So the idea here is really to do something that's slightly different. So, Jeff, what I want you to do is, Larry, what I want you to do is just pick up a group of cards anywhere at all, yourself, and let's see what you've cut to. Take a look. What is that? A 2, which is indeed why you've been invited here this evening. Well, not necessarily. I mean, I could cut a 2 as well. Here's the idea. If I wanted to keep you around, I might want to tempt the fates by just beating you. What do I mean? What if I could cut a 3 to just eke out a victory over your 2? I can. And that's sort of the point that I was talking about. Now,